Welcome to Alf Talks Arsenal. This is actually the very first video on this channel. I've been toying with the idea of starting this for a little while now, talking about Arsenal, football, and whatever chaos the Premier League decides to produce. And looking at the current state of Tottenham Hotspur, this felt like the perfect moment to begin. Because right now, my friends, right now, Tottenham are 1 point above the relegation zone. Not a joke. Not a joke for them. Definitely a joke for us. And after last night's 3-1 defeat to Crystal Palace, this situation is starting to look very real and increasingly more funny. Now, the strange thing about this game is that Tottenham actually started quite well. They went 1-0 up through Solanke, and for a few minutes you could feel that sense of relief around the stadium. Maybe this was the night things finally turned around, because Spurs desperately needed something. Anything, a point would have helped. And they were up, but then the game absolutely flipped, and it flipped very quickly. Mickey can't defend. Pulls down Sarr inside the box. Penalty. Red card. And Sarr scores the penalty. Game changes instantly. An amazing minute or so. Absolutely beautiful peak Prem. Then Strand Larsen scores and Sarr scores again. All before the half-time whistle goes off, making it 3. 3 goals, 3-1 at the time, all before the break. And by that point, the atmosphere inside the stadium had completely collapsed. Spurs fans had seen enough. They were leaving early. They were done. Cooked, as the kids say. Players looking shooketh. And a team that had already had very little confidence suddenly looking completely fragile. So let's have a little talk here about the run itself. And here's where things get genuinely alarming for Spurs. This defeat means Tottenham are now 11 league games without a win. 11. It's the worst form for any Premier League team. They've also now lost 5 league matches in a row, which means this is no longer just a bad patch. This is a full collapse in form. And while Spurs have been sliding down the table, the teams around them have been quietly picking up results. West Ham. Wolves. Forest. All picking up points. All getting points, while Spurs just absolutely capitulate. Which means basically the gap has been vanishing, and it's now vanished. There is no longer really that much of a gap. Right now, Tottenham are 16th in the Premier League table. And crucially, they are 1 point above the relegation zone. 1 point. That's not a cushion. That's no longer a cushion. They are in this. That's the football equivalent of hanging off a cliff by your fingertips. That is Spurs right now. Let's talk about the fixture list. The timing really could not be worse for this team, because the fixture list doesn't get any easier for this poor team. Liverpool away is coming up. We have Liverpool coming up. Other very difficult games are also coming up. For example, somehow Spurs are also dealing with a Champions League tie against Atletico Madrid in the middle of all this, which is quite a surreal situation. Because usually when a team is hovering above relegation, they're not also preparing for European knockout football in the Champions League. This is unprecedented times. There's also the issue of injuries. Key defenders missing. I think Romero's back now. Mickey can't defend, is suspended for the Liverpool game. And other players are trying to be rushed back, as far as I can tell, according to reports. The back line is looking increasingly unstable at this point. So let's have a little chat about Igor Tudor. Igor Tudor. This poor guy coming into this league. He's been in the job for about 3 days, 3 weeks actually. And the start has been extremely rough for this barrage. 3 league games. 3 defeats. 3 for 3 for this poor guy. And to be fair to him, like, you have to feel sorry for this guy. He has inherited a squad that clearly has confidence issues. But the football doesn't always care about the context. Results tend to define everything, especially for this particular situation for Spurs. The mood around the club right now is tense from what I'm hearing. I think Tudor might be sacked. Fans are extremely frustrated, as per last night. Stadium atmosphere is nervous. It's toxic at this point. And headlines are starting to use phrases like historic crisis, an historic crisis, which tells you how unusual this situation actually is. Because clubs like Tottenham aren't supposed to be flirting with relegation. They're in the Big Six. They're supposed to be fighting for Europe, fighting for the top 4 or top 5. It's an absurd situation and extremely funny. And from an Arsenal perspective, let's just break this down. There is obviously a whole other layer to all of this. Because if Tottenham actually went down, this would be one of the most extraordinary football seasons imaginable on its own. Arsenal waiting decades to win the league again, and in the same season Spurs get relegated. That's the kind of footballing symmetry that almost feels too perfect. I don't deserve it. You almost feel like the football gods would never allow something this poetic to take place. It is beautiful. It actually might happen. I don't know if they have the stomach for this. And the reality of relegation is actually very funny as well when you picture it. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Beyonce FC, one of the best stadiums in Europe. £1 billion arena. NFL games. Concerts. Swifties. F1. Champions League nights. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, Swansea arrive. Stoke City come to London to have a little game with Tottenham Hotspur. Preston North End. Derby County. You've got these championship teams travelling down to North London to what is one of the most incredible modern stadiums in world football. Probably looking around thinking, blimey, this is quite nice, compared to our shed in Swansea. Meanwhile, Spurs fans are sitting there wondering how on earth this became their reality. Now let's talk about the other side of it. There's the away games. Tottenham fans travelling to Stoke on a Tuesday night. Beautiful. Preston away. Get on your bus, Spurs. Get on your bus to Manchester. Derby away. Derbyshire, you know. Cold evenings in the Championship. The dressing rooms. Completely different world. Think about it. Think about the banter. The contrast would be extraordinary. So, my message to you is, if you do know a Spurs fan, this might be a good moment to just have a little check-in, you know, send them a message, you know, just send them a little note, send them something supportive, just something really nice today, something caring, you know, something really caring and nice. You know, you say hi. You know, hi Dave. Hi Dave. How are you? You know, like, how are you? Are you okay? You know, are you having a good day? It's Friday. You know, is everything all right over there? You know, can I do anything to help you in these challenging times? You know, just purely out of concern, of course. Just, you know, be nice to them, send them a little message, give them a little virtual hug. But jokes aside, the next few weeks will tell us everything. If Spurs manage to win a couple of games, you know, it might all turn out all right. This probably fades away as a strange mid-season slump. But if the results keep going the way they've been going, then this becomes something much bigger than all of us. Because 11 games without a win is already historic. Historic. And if Spurs somehow slip into the bottom three, this story becomes enormous. Absolutely enormous. The hugest. For now, though, my friends, Spurs sit 1 point above the relegation zone. And the uncomfortable truth is, this is no longer something you can laugh off. Well, mostly. Peace out. Give the video a like. Give the channel a subscribe. See you soon.